Discover the miraculous wisdom of the Psalms, 12 transformative truths revealed for every believer. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the kingdom of Israel stood at the crossroads of glory and turmoil, a vibrant city pulsing with fervent worship and the whispers of conflict. King David, once a shepherd tending sheep, now ruled from the sacred chambers of his palace in Jerusalem, feeling the weightiness of his crown compressing his spirit. As the sun dipped low in the amber sky, casting long shadows upon the cool stone floors, he sat with his journal, the quill poised in trembling hands, as he wrestled through the labyrinth of his heart, recall the battles won, the enemies defeated, and the favor of God that had poured upon him like rain on parched earth. Yet, here he was the golden hero of Israel transformed into a man wrestling with betrayal, grief, and the haunting echoes of his failures. Those he had loved, once brothers in arms, now stirred unrest, friends had become foes. The prophetic words of Nathan hung heavy in his mind, exposing the darkness of his choices that led to deep remorse that he began to write the heartfelt lines of Psalm 51, the ink flowing as he poured out his soul in earnest plea for forgiveness. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Each word struck deeply his spirit, a battleground of shame and longing, thirsting for divine mercy. Before he could truly gather himself, anguish rose and began to consume him. The turmoil within birthed questions he dared to voice upon parchment, echoing the disquiet of countless souls. How long, O Lord? Will you forget me forever? It was a cry from a king but a lament from a fallen servant, captured in Psalm 13. The depth of his anguish resonated with believers through the ages, coming from a place of an authentic struggle. Suddenly, a knock echoed through the chamber, and the messenger burst through the doors, breathless with urgency. My king, Absalom has rallied the people against you. Fear clawed at David's insides, visions of revolt and bloodshed racing through his mind. Commanders awaited at the gates, the council needing clarity. Should they flee the capital or stand firm? The weight of his decisions pressed heavily upon him. He inhaled sharply, praying silently. Psalm 46 whispered through his thoughts like a guiding light, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Inspired by his own words, a flicker of hope ignited. Would he embrace the tempest raging outside, or seek refuge in the unshakable promise of God's protection? Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the last rays of sunlight faded, the shadows deepened around him, reflections of the anxiety thrumming in his veins. He returned to his writings, beginning Psalm 23, grounding himself in the faith that had once guided him as a shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The familiar comfort of these words enveloped him, reminding him of the quiet fields where he had once tended to his flock, of the unchanging nature of God amidst uncertainty. Here, David stood at a precipice. Will he lean into the tumult enveloping his reign, or will he choose to rely on the strength found in God's promises? The ink of his struggles and aspirations widened into a tapestry of trust and clarity, or remained tangled in shadows. Only time would reveal the resolution awaiting his troubled soul. As dawn broke over Jerusalem, the city lay in apprehension. News of Absalom's rebellion spread like wildfire, igniting fear and uncertainty among the people. King David, hardened by anguish yet softened by sincerity, weighed his heart against the tumult surrounding him. He called for his trusted advisers, summoning them to the throne room, the air thick with tension and the resonant echoes of prophetic history. Gather the commanders, David commanded, his voice steady, yet it revealed the strain beneath. We must contemplate our course carefully. Will we engage in battle, or will we withdraw? The faces gathered reflected various shades of loyalty, yet behind their resolve lay unease. Abishai, son of Zeruiah, was the first to speak. My lord, let us confront Absalom. Shall we allow traitors to stake claim to your crown? The scorching fervor in his eyes mirrored the loyalty shining through David's adversities, yet David's heart, laden with paternal distress, cautioned restraint. "It is my son," he murmured. "Though his rebellion severs our bond, my heart beats for him still. We must not seek bloodshed. Instead, let us flee to save our lives, that we may live to seek reconciliation." The advisers fell silent, their expressions crystallizing into disbelief. As murmurs rippled through the chamber, David turned his gaze upwards, allowing his thoughts to echo into the heart of God. The decision weighed heavily: would he abandon his throne and retreat from the city he had cherished, or fight for his legacy and risk losing those he loved? "And if you go, my king," Joab interjected, "who shall lead this people? You must remain here to encourage them in their hour of need. Yet what is a throne, if it is built upon the bones of my kin?" David whispered, his spirit wrestling with every decision that in his heart. David sensed the echoes of Psalm 27 resonate. "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear?" A wave of peace began to wash over him. He felt God's presence in this storm, an invitation to trust in his magnificent plan despite the chaos. Thus, with a heavy heart yet renewed hope, he resolved. "We shall depart, and we shall implore the Lord, for his mercy endures forever. I will call upon him," he promised, "and I will trust in his sovereign plan." As the sun raised its golden halo over the hills of Jerusalem, David prepared to leave. He gathered his family and selected loyal servants to follow him. They traversed the foothills, each step echoing David's lament yet bearing the promise of divine guidance. Along the way, he found time to pour forth prayers of lament and praise. "O Lord, my soul thirsts for you," he cried, penning the lines of another psalm that emerged from his troubled spirit. "As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul longs for you. My heart is heavy, yet I trust in your unfailing love." Little did David know, Absalom was not the only one plotting in Jerusalem. Ahithophel, the wise counselor, who had turned his back upon David and aligned with Absalom, devised schemes that would lead to further division. What strategies lay at hand in this familial fray? As David fled into the wilderness, he remained steadfast in prayer, his heart anchored in the past promises of God. The ground would shift beneath him, but would it ultimately lead to restoration or ruin? The answers awaited in the shadows. And as the weary king ventured forth upon paths untraveled, the stage of divine providence was set. What unknown purpose awaited him, destined to alter the course of his reign forever? As David and his retinue traversed the arid wilderness, the whispers of discontent lingered in the air, like shadows growing darker beneath the setting sun. The king's heart remained troubled, a heavy burden borne for both his people and the son who sought his throne. Each dusty step was accompanied by the rhythmic beating of David's heart, echoing the ancient promise of God's faithfulness that in the distance, as the sun cast its last golden rays, a figure approached. It was Ittai the Gittite, a man not bound by the covenant but drawn to David in loyalty. With a heart full of courage, Ittai fell to his knees before the king. "My lord, wherever you go, there also will I go. Wherever you lodge, there will I lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God." David, moved by Ittai's fierce devotion, placed a hand upon his shoulder. "Go then, with us. For the Lord's eyes are upon those who seek him, even in the wilderness." As twilight surrendered to night, David gathered those who followed him. "Let us encourage one another," he implored, "and lift our voices in psalms of praise, for the Lord will not abandon his anointed." They sang together, their voices rising like incense to the heavens. Psalm 42 streamed forth, a melody of longing and trust. "O my God, my soul is cast down within me, therefore I remember you," sang David, each word an offering of his heart's anguish and hope. Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, Absalom, swayed by pride and ambition, prepared to solidify his power. His heart, hardened by counsel steeped in betrayal, was led by Ahithophel's deceit. With cunning, Ahithophel spoke to Absalom, "Go into your father's concubines, for all Israel will hear how you have made yourself odious to your father, and the hands of all who are with you will be strengthened." The prince, consumed by a desire for dominance and the betrayal of his father, heeded the counsel. That night, he declared an open challenge to David's very reign, leaving those loyal to David aghast. Such wickedness was a fulfillment of the very prophecy Nathan had spoken, warning that calamity would arise from within David's own house. 2 Samuel 12 verses 11 to 12. Returning to David, the king prayed earnestly, invoking God's protection. Lord, arise, and let your enemies be scattered. Let those who hate you flee before you. The Spirit stirred within him, reminding David to trust in God's deliverance. As his followers camped upon the barren ground, David felt the weight of despair yet clung to the truths woven throughout the Psalms. Though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil, for you are with us, your rod and your staff, they comfort us. The night deepened with the awe of divine mystery, as God's plans began to unfurl within the hearts of men. David lay awake, eyes drawn to the stars, wondering, contemplating how this dark night might bear the seeds of unimaginable grace. What awaited David was a crucible that would test not only his resolve as a king but also his faith as a servant of the Most High. Little did he know, hidden in the folds of calamity, there lay a key to restoration, a divine strategy at work even in the darkest circumstances, for even in turmoil, God's hand prepared for the dawn. But did David grasp the profound truth that redemption often springs forth from the very depths of our despair? In what remarkable ways would his journey lead to an unfolding of God's grand design? As the night wove its deep tapestry of shadows, the camp of David rustled with the breaths of weary souls, each heart echoing in quiet turmoil. The sky, a vast expanse awash in silvery stars, bore witness to the king's plight and the weight of betrayal etched upon his brow. But David, ever the psalmist, sought the solace of prayer amidst his dismay. "O Lord, my God," he murmured, "in you I take refuge. Save me from all my pursuers and deliver me, lest like a lion they tear my soul apart, rending it in pieces, with none to deliver." Psalm 7 verses 1 to 2. His spirit wrestled, yet in this desolation, a deep longing stirred, a yearning not just for the throne, but for the heart of God. It was then a voice, still and small, filled his soul with strength. Ittai, sensing the king's struggle, knelt again before David, his countenance reflecting both reverence and resolve. "My lord, our journey may be fraught with danger, but the Lord of hosts marches with us. Shall we not rise and seek the face of our God together?" Thus encouraged, David summoned his men. "Brothers, though the night is dark and our foes abound, let us proclaim the praises of our God. For his love is steadfast, and his faithfulness endures to all generations." They raised their voices, weaving a tapestry of worship that pierced the darkness. From the east, as dawn crept upon them, the sound of a tumult reached their ears, a clamor arising from the city of Jerusalem. Absalom's rebellion had stirred the hearts of the people, leading them to rally around the son who dared to reach for the crown. Panic skittered across David's followers, their loyalty wavering. Yet, amidst the storm, David's resolve crystallized. "Let us not fear," he proclaimed. "For we shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living." Psalm 27 verse 13. He ordered a division of his men, sending them forth with Ittai leading a band of valiant warriors. "Guide us, O Lord, in the paths of righteousness for your name's sake." As they navigated through the rough hills, the divine orchestration became evident. Every decisive movement, every cry of desperation melded into a prayer, echoing across the landscape, each moment a chapter in God's unfolding narrative. What would be a trial for David was a revelation for his people. Already they began to see the Lord's hand guiding them toward an unexpected outcome. Meanwhile, in the heart of Jerusalem, Absalom strutted upon his throne of deception, unknowing that his very actions were being maneuvered by the Lord. Ahithophel, emboldened by pride, counseled further wickedness that would seal his own downfall. "Let us pursue David with swift vengeance, for he is weak now," he declared. Yet in heaven, the Almighty God, who sees beyond the immediate, remains sovereign over every scheme and stratagem devised against his anointed. As the dust settled on Israel's once flourishing capital, David found himself standing at a precipice. His heart teetered between despair and hope, for he remembered the promises of God. "But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength, they shall mount up with wings like eagles, they shall run and not be weary, they shall walk and not faint." Isaiah 40 verse 31. Would his faith endure the crucible? Would the seeds of despair cultivate a garden of restoration? The morning light began to rise, casting a golden glow upon the path ahead. David took a breath, his heart swelling with expectation and fear alike. The time has come, he whispered, for God's purpose to unveil itself. And as the dawn broke, an unexpected messenger would arrive, carrying news that would shift the tides once more, drawing him closer to fulfilling the divine promise of restoration and grace, the very sovereignty of the Lord about to display its majestic power. What lay ahead was a mystery wrapped in divine providence, yet David knew within him a promise burned brightly: the Lord reigns, ever faithful, ever true. As the first rays of dawn spilled over the rugged hills, casting light upon the weary faces of David's men, a sudden hush fell upon their camp. The wind carried whispers of hope, yet beneath the surface, a tumult of fear brewed. Amidst this dichotomy, David sought the Lord earnestly, laying before him his concerns. O Lord, when the enemy rises, how shall I respond? What shall I do in the face of such betrayal? Then unexpectedly, a lone figure appeared on the horizon, his posture urgent, his gait swift. As he approached, his face bore the marks of weariness mixed with the fire of urgent news. It was Ahimelech, the priest from Nob. Breathless, he knelt before David, his voice trembling. My lord, I bear tidings from Jerusalem. Absalom has taken the hearts of the people, they are rallying with him, and he seeks your life. A dark cloud settled over the faces of David's followers. Doubt crept into their hearts, and anxiety threatened to unravel their resolve. But David's spirit remained anchored. He stood strong, for he remembered the words of the Lord: Fear not, for I am with you, be not dismayed, for I am your God, Isaiah 41 verse 10. Ahimelech, David replied, his voice steady, tell me what more you know of Absalom's plans. Ahithophel has advised him to pursue you swiftly, Ahimelech responded, urgency sharpening his tone. They believe you are weak and vulnerable. A solemn silence enveloped the gathering. David felt the heavy weight of the moment pressing down upon him. Yet, a flicker of divine wisdom ignited in his heart. The Lord had an appointed time and a purpose, his providence would not fail. Gather the men, David commanded. We shall not flee in fear but shall seek the counsel of the Almighty. Even now, let us turn to him in prayer, for our strength lies not in numbers but in the trust we place in our God. As the men encircled David, their voices united in a fervent cry, pouring out their hearts to the Lord. David led them, recalling the songs of old that celebrated God's faithfulness. Lord, our God, you are a shield about me, my glory, and the lifter of my head, Psalm 3 verse 3. He felt the spirit of despair begin to lift as their prayers charged the in that moment of collective supplication, a realization dawned upon David. His heart resonated with the truth of the Psalms he had written: The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures, Psalm 23 verses 1-2. Even in the valley of shadows, he could trust in the goodness and mercy of God. As they finished praying, a revelation came over David like a holy wind brushing through him. We shall send a spy into Absalom's camp, he declared, conviction igniting his voice. We will know their strategies and thwart their plans. For the Lord's hand shall guide us, and he shall deliver us from the grip of this rebellion. Just then, a rustle of branches caught David's attention. A servant from Ziba, former steward of Saul's house, approached with an expression of urgency and caution. My lord, I come bearing tidings. Mephibosheth remains loyal to you, and he has sent for you. He believes that amidst the shadows of this rebellion, God will yet work for good. David's heart leapt, for this confirmation of loyalty stirred hope within him. The Lord was weaving a tapestry of protection and promise, hidden yet undeniably present. He reflected on the covenant he had made with Jonathan, Mephibosheth's father, and with renewed vigor, he took to heart God's unfolding narrative in which even the most desperate circumstances could yield his glorious plans. As David prepared his men for the journey ahead, he felt the weight of divine intention shaped by struggles, knowing that this was not merely a battle for a throne but a journey through which the Lord would manifest his kingdom purpose. And as the day brightened, the clouds parted in David's spirit, revealing an astonishing truth: God was not merely waiting for the right moment, he was orchestrating every detail for the elevation of his glory. Thus, the stage was set for a divine intersection, one that would reveal the greater purpose of God amidst human strife. What awaited David and his people would mark a profound chapter in the saga of divine redemption, as God's hand was poised to act, ready to display his sovereign plan in ways beyond their imagining. As the sun ascended higher, illuminating the rugged terrain, David felt an urgency to act. The weight of Absalom's rebellion forged a sense of determination within him. He gathered his men once more, their faces set with resolve, and spoke fervently. "Our God has given us a promise, we are not forsaken. We will send our spy, and also seek out those whom we can trust." With a nod to his loyal men, he summoned the swiftest among them, Hushai, the Archite known for his cunning and insight. "Go to Absalom's camp," David instructed him. "Offer your counsel to him. Though he has turned against me, I believe the Lord can still use you as a source of strategic wisdom. We must know his plans if we are to navigate this treacherous water." Hushai bowed deeply, his eyes gleaming with a fierce loyalty. "Your servant will not fail you, my lord. I will go swiftly." With that, he departed, leaving David to ponder the high stakes of his situation. As David turned his gaze towards the hills, his spirit was stirred. He remembered the times past when he had sought the Lord's guidance, as he did when facing Goliath. "The battle is the Lord's," he murmured to himself, recalling how God had provided a victory against seemingly insurmountable odds. It was a balm to his soul, a reminder couched in the very fabric of his identity. From that moment of contemplation, one truth ignited within him: God was not merely his refuge but also his strategy. He began to pen a new psalm, his heart flowing with praises and supplications. "O Lord, how many are my foes? Many are rising against me. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me." Psalm 3 verses 1-3. Each word he inscribed anchored his faith more deeply amidst turmoil and uncertainty. As evening approached, another figure emerged through the trees, an unexpected visitor. It was a loyal man named Zadok, the priest, accompanied by his sons, eager to stand at David's side. "My lord," Zadok spoke with urgency, "the Ark of the Covenant has been brought near. We thought to accompany you with it, to ensure that the presence of the Lord walks with you." David waved his hands gently. "No, my dear Zadok. Take the ark back to the city. If I find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me back, and I shall see it, for the covenant is not my escort in this chaos but rather a reminder of God's promise to us." He longed for the presence of God to be in their midst, yet he understood the power of faith in times of trial. With heavy hearts, Zadok and his sons returned to Jerusalem carrying the ark back, while David's men gathered closely, their determination mingling with apprehension. The night set in, shrouding them in an atmosphere pregnant with destiny. They prayed, revisiting the words of the Psalms whose truths became sustenance for their weary souls. Yet amid the growing darkness, a light flickered in the spirit of David. In the distance, he sensed the shaping of God's plan, one that transcended threats and fears. He realized that this struggle was often a precursor to revelation and unveiling of God's magnificent character and his steadfast love for his people. Just then, an unexpected rustle signaled the return of Hushai from the depths of danger, his eyes wide with the weight of news. "O king," he spoke breathlessly, "the plans have been set in motion, and Absalom's heart is swayed. But there is treachery afoot, and you must be swift." At that moment, a deeper understanding unfolded within David's consciousness. What seemed to be a mere rebellion could lead to redemption, revealing God's sovereign hand at work even through chaos. What lay ahead would test the very fabric of their faith and reveal glorious truths about the ways of the Almighty. In the winding paths of this journey, David felt the pulse of a profound destiny throbbing at the very center of this turmoil, beckoning all who were faithful to behold the full measure of God's divine purpose in their midst. A new chapter awaited, one that would echo through the annals of history, intertwining pain and promise, drawing all eyes toward the astonishing tapestry of God's providence. As dawn broke, painting the horizon in hues of amber and gold, the weight of the night lifted, yet the burden of uncertainty lingered in the hearts of David and his men. They gathered in a secluded grove beneath the boughs of ancient trees, their ears attuned to the rustling leaves, anticipating guidance that could turn the tide of their fate. "Brothers," David called out, his voice resonating with a mix of authority and invitation. "We must prepare our hearts and seek the counsel of the Lord. For in his wisdom lies our strength." The men bowed their heads, adopting a posture of supplication, the air thick with expectancy. With a deep breath, David lifted his eyes toward the heavens. "O Lord," he prayed fervently, "you have been our refuge and strength. Act, O God, and thwart the counsel of Absalom, confound their plans and let justice prevail." His cry echoed softly amidst the tranquil expanse, a reminder to himself and his men of the divine who held the universe in his palm. As the sun climbed higher, casting its warm rays upon them, the sound of hooves and the clanging of armor approached. The men turned, hearts pounding, as they recognized the familiar features of Abishai and Joab, those fierce warriors who had taken up David's banner. The tension in the air crackled with purpose and determination. "King David," Joab intoned, stepping forth confidently. "The people are restless, fearing Absalom's treachery. We must act swiftly and decisively. What is your command?" The fervor of loyalty was evident in both his posture and tone. David's heart ached, torn by love for his son and the duty of kingship. "We shall gather our forces, Joab, but not in haste. We will not march against our own blood without understanding the full measure of the conflict. I will not raise the sword against Absalom until we know our path leads to righteousness. We must pray and seek God's direction." Abishai, standing resolutely by Joab, interjected, "My lord, let us not forget the blood that runs thick in our veins. If it comes to battle, I will defend the throne you have rightfully held. God has equipped us for this fight." A solemn silence ensued, the weight of conviction settling upon them all. As they contemplated their uncertain future, Hushai returned, his brow furrowed, eyes gleaming with urgent ravings. "My king, the time is at hand. Absalom has gathered a formidable force, but not without weakness. If we act shrewdly, we may exploit it." David, sensing the divine orchestrating each heartbeat of this unfolding drama, inquired, "What of his advisers? What plans do they conjure?" "The counsel of Ahithophel, who walks closely with Absalom, is treacherous as a serpent," Hushai replied, "yet I have persuaded him to counsel patience, to gather strength rather than attack today. This may buy us precious time." David's spirit soared, the divine hand was guiding them through the very brink of despair. "Let us use this moment. Assemble our warriors, and gather the faithful. We will trust in the Lord's deliverance, for our victory hinges not on our strength but on his will." As the tide of resolve swelled in their chests, David entered into a quiet moment of reflection, feeling the weight of history resting upon his shoulders. He sensed the echo of the Psalms rising within him, words flowing forth like rivers of hope. "In you, O Lord, do I take refuge, let me never be put to shame, deliver me in your righteousness." Psalm 31 verse 1. Now, emboldened by the knowledge of God's providence and assured in the mission bestowed upon them, they prepared to face what lay ahead. However, lurking in the shadows of their hearts simmered secrets and hardship yet known. What awaited them would unveil not only the depths of betrayal but also a path to redemption that would challenge the very roots of their faith. In the tapestry of trial and triumph, David sensed an unfolding mystery, a revelation that promised more than just survival, leading them deeper into the profound truths of God's purpose. Thus, with steely determination interwoven with the threads of faith, they advanced, poised to confront not just the rebellion of a son but the sovereign plan of the Almighty yet to be fully revealed. As the men gathered themselves, their hearts beating in a cadence of urgency, the sounds of preparation filled the grove. The clang of swords being sheathed, the snorts of restless horses, and the murmurings of confident yet anxious prayer intertwined, creating a symphony of courage tinged with trepidation. David stood at the helm, his spirit ignited by the memories of divine encounters and sacred promises. "My brothers," he declared, raising his arms toward the heavens, "let us remember the words of our forefathers. For has it not been written, 'The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear?' Psalm 27 verse 1. We must cling to this truth as we face our trials. The men responded with a unified cry, rallying around their king, their faith reinforced by the chorus of ancient psalms echoing in their spirits. Each warrior felt the weight of the moment. The defiance against Absalom was not merely a battle, but a testament of loyalty to the God who had appointed David as king. Yet, amidst their resolve, a shadow flickered at the edges of David's heart, a whisper of doubt that reminded him of his frailty and the tumultuous love for his son. As they prepared to set forth, he felt compelled to retreat momentarily into solitude, seeking deeper supplication. Taking a few steps away from the noise, he fell upon his knees beneath the sheltering branches of an oak, heavy with the weight of despair and hope intertwined. "O Lord, God of Israel," he prayed, "you know my heart, and you see the conflict which grips my spirit. Give me discernment, and unveil your will in this tumult of loyalty and love." As he poured out his soul, the winds rustled through the leaves, carrying a profound stillness that enveloped him. In that sacred space, the presence of God drew near, restoring David's spirit and igniting his faith anew. An image flickered across his mind, the promise spoken long ago, the covenant established with Abraham and confirmed in his own rise to kingship. "I will not yield to despair, for you have said, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29 verse 11. David rose, fortified by the divine reminder that even in turmoil, God's overarching plan was still in motion. Rejoining his men, he gave them a look filled with renewed vigor. "Prepare yourselves. Trust in the Lord's guidance, for he shall fight with us. Today we will not only defend the throne but herald truth and righteousness." With resolute hearts, they mounted their steeds, the sun illuminating their path ahead. They rode with the fervor of purpose, fueled by hope and unity, not just as warriors but as men beneath the banner of Yahweh. As they advanced toward the battlefield, a figure stood in the distance, cloaked in the shadows, watching the unfolding scene with calculating intent. It was Ahithophel, his heart driven by ambition and betrayal, silently plotting the course of Absalom's fate. Suddenly, the air grew thick with anticipation, as if the very fabric of the heavens was woven with the threads of prophecy, beckoning a confrontation laden with divine significance. Each heartbeat resonated with the unspoken promise of God's sovereignty, compelling David and his men to step into the unknown, where either their hearts would be crushed or hope would shine brighter than the sun. Yet within this imminent clash lay a sacred truth yet unrevealed, a truth that would forge destinies, restoring not only a king but the very lineage of promise. For what awaited them would bring forth a revelation of God's master plan, paving the way for a greater redemption, one that would shake the nations. And so, with faith as their shield and fervor as their sword, they journeyed forward, knowing that the battle was but the beginning of a roadmap leading to the heart of God's eternal covenant. Little did they know, a dramatic shift was about to unfold. Their resilience would unravel a secret that had been hidden since the dawn of time. As the sun rose higher, casting its golden light upon the warriors of Israel, the weight of destiny hung heavy in the air. They rode in unison, hearts inflamed with the vigor of their king's words, yet shadows clung to David's thoughts. Anxieties of fatherhood and kingship intermingled, leading him to seek the guiding whispers of the Almighty. "Let us pray," he called out, lifting his voice above the tumult. Each soldier, clad in armor and burdened by the pursuit of righteousness, let their steeds come to a halt, and knelt, forming a circle of fervent petition. "O Lord, mighty in battle, it is you who shall be our guide," David implored, his spirit enveloped by the sacred expectation of the men surrounding him. "We seek your favor and protection against our adversaries. May our hearts be steadfast as we pursue this cause for truth." And from the stillness, a hush fell over the warriors, their hearts aligned, ready to receive revelation. As their prayers ascended, it was as though the heavens were lending an ear. Suddenly, an eagle soared overhead, a silent witness to the unfolding divine narrative, reminding David of the ancient promise, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, they shall mount up with wings as eagles." Isaiah 40 verse 31. Strengthened by the moment, David reminded his men of the story of Gideon, who with only 300 men had triumphed over a multitude, anointed not by the sword but by divine strategy. We shall not forget that victory is not ours to claim alone but the Lord's. Even as we face Absalom, remember the words, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay, declares the Lord," Romans 12 verse 19. His voice surged with confidence, stirring their spirits once more. As they approached the valley where battalions were beginning to assemble, murmurs of confusion rippled through the ranks of Absalom's forces. The elders of Israel, once wise counsel to David, now stood divided, shrouded in uncertainty led by Ahithophel's cunning manipulations. His words, once revered, had become snares set with dark ambition, whispering false prophecies of grandeur. "Fear not," David's voice rang clear as they caught sight of the opposing army, "for I shall not betray what the Lord has spoken. No alliance forged in pride or betrayal can withstand the purpose of our God." The men nodded, emboldened by their king's steadfastness, feeling the weight of a promise that transcended their struggle. Just as the two armies prepared to clash, a sudden burst of light illuminated the ground between them. Drawn by an unseen force, David stood steadfast, gazing upward into the firmament. The skies roared and the earth quaked, as if nature itself reacted to the fervor of man's struggle for justice. In the heart of the conflict, Absalom, blinded by ambition and father's disdain, stood at the forefront of his army. Yet deep within him, the echo of his father's love haunted his resolute heart. When will the heart of a father win the loyalty of a son? David whispered in the depths of his soul, and then, as the clash of swords began, in the chaos of screams and battle cries, a great revelation dawned across the valley. A messenger, cloaked in light, strode onto the battlefield delivering words that hung like the air between breaths, vibrating with divine purpose. "The Lord will bring forth a reckoning today, and the outcome shall reveal the Son's true heart. To what end, shall remain a mystery till the very end." Thus, the great conflict was set. Not merely as a battle for territory, but as the battleground for the very essence of true loyalty and allegiance to the one true God. Little did they know, this day would etch into history the profound narrative of redemption, forever shaping the destiny of Israel. As the sun ascended over the battlefield, its blazing rays pierced through the haze of doubt and fear, enticing a new dawn for both King David and his wayward son, Absalom. The echoes of war reverberated, but amidst the clamor, David's heart remained steadfast, orchestrating a symphony of hope amidst the chaos. In these moments of greatest conflict, the depths of love and sorrow intermingled, creating a longing for restoration. "Let us remember what we fight for," David proclaimed, his voice rising like thunder above the clashing weapons. Each soldier, eyes glimmering with a mix of trepidation and valiant resolve, felt the weight of their king's heart, a heart divided between duty and love. "For our true battle is not only for a crown but for the allegiance of a weary soul," he continued, aware that more than thrones and lineage hung in the balance. On the opposing side, Absalom, filled with misguided pride, observed his father's army with a mix of anticipation and inner turmoil. Each breath reminded him of the fierce bond they once shared. Echoes of laughter in the palace halls haunted him amidst the battle cries. Yet the counsel of Ahithophel, dark and ambitious, blinded him to the truth that his rebellion stemmed from a heart filled with the void of paternal love. In the heart of the storm, a hush fell over the battlefield. As arrows flew and swords clanged, heaven itself seemed to hold its breath. David called upon the living God, invoking the spirit of the Psalms to divine his next action. "O Lord of hosts, I place my trust in you. Divide the hearts of our enemies, confound every scheme against your anointed." His prayer resonated in the air, a shimmering beacon of faith and divine protection. With renewed strength, David directed his warriors, guiding each motion with the understanding that their fight transcended mere survival. It was a testament to their covenant with God. "To victory we march, not just as soldiers but as children restored to the King." The men roared in affirmation, their spirits igniting with purpose. Yet within the ranks of Absalom's forces, confusion brewed as Ahithophel's counsel faltered. For the Almighty's hand moved among the hearts, whispering truths that would shift the tides of rebellion. Absalom's gaze, torn between ambition and longing for his father's approval, became a battleground of its own. While he sought to assert dominance, deep within him, a hunger for restoration simmered, a desire to mend what had been broken. As the armies clashed, the air thick with the smoke of war, a fateful turn emerged. An unexpected ally, Hushai, who had infiltrated Absalom's ranks, harness the power of wisdom to redirect the young princess' next moves. Your father is a seasoned warrior. Attack him now, while he is vulnerable. He implored, delving deep into Absalom's insecurities and perceptions, thus tightening the grip of deception around the princess' heart. But at that moment, as the battle raged and swords tasted the blood of Zion, the Lord of hosts orchestrated divine justice. An errant arrow flew forth, guided not by chance but by divine providence, striking Absalom in the heart, a tragic culmination of his pride and rebellion. As he fell amidst the battle, it marked not only the end of an insurrection but a sacred revelation destined to resonate through the ages. As David witnessed the fallen form of his beloved son, a grief that transcended the sorrow of kings peeled back layers of his heart and exposed a raw ache. He tore his clothes, collapsing to the ground, crying out in anguished surrender, "O Absalom, my son! My son! Would that I had died instead of you!" The love of a father echoed through the air, a testament to the redemptive anguish of God, a perfect love battling unwarranted separation. In the shadows of the heartache, restoration began to emerge. David's lament echoed the cries of the ages, reminding the people of God's unwavering mercy even when human hearts strayed. The Lord has decreed, the battle is his. Out of despair comes the seed of redemption. And as he returned to Jerusalem, grieving yet resolved, David understood that God's plans often weave through the tapestry of heartache and healing. Thus, the kingdom was rebuilt upon the unshakable foundation of unwavering grace. The lessons of betrayal transformed into eternal truths of divine love. The Psalms, once written from a place of conflict and frailty, became the anthem of restoration, a promise to all generations of God's enduring faithfulness. And as the people of Israel witnessed their king humbly restored, they saw through his grief the overarching narrative woven through the pages of their history, a story not only of a king and his kingdom but of the relentless pursuit of God's heart to reclaim that which was lost. In the years to come, the legacy of David would lay the groundwork for a greater king, who would embrace the lost and declare, "Come unto me, and I will give you rest." The heartbeat of divine love echoed in every psalm sung by the faithful, reverberating through the corridors of time, a reminder that despite the trials faced, God reigns supreme, ever faithful in all his promises, shepherding his people through valleys and victories. Now, dear friends, as we reflect upon the profound truths delivered through David's journey, I implore you, this is the moment to help spread biblical truth. You need to subscribe now to stay connected to God's word and not miss the next powerful biblical stories. Leave a like now to bless others with God's faithful word through the algorithm. Comment below your spiritual reflections and how this biblical story has impacted your faith. Share your testimony of hope, and lastly, don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. Together, may we stir hearts and unite in the glorification of our faithful King.